Right, guys. Um, so just doing a quick live. If you join live via YouTube, drop a what do you call it? Subscribe to the button below if you like what you're hearing. And if you're on Facebook, guys, in one of my three groups, just do a hashtag live, hashtag replay. If you're watching the replay, just so we can, if you like what you're hearing, you can spread the love a bit. So basically, today's topic is about, basically who you surround yourself with. There's a lot of different avenues where you could sort of take this advice, whether you're new, whether you're trying to break some habits of, a previous life. Um, and to be honest, there's a few ways that you can go about it. Now, in terms of surrounding yourself with the right people, you got to think about the goals, where you want to see yourself in 5 to 10 years. If you're starting to try and make money online, look for people that are successfully doing it and ethically as well. There's a whole range of different things that where you can break those habits and start moving along. Now, and it's also about creating like your own little sort of like ecosystem, which is a cool little term that I learned off a mentor of mine, which is like Jacob Karras. Um, and I never really ever thought about it that way in terms of surrounding yourself with the right people, being able to create a pretty solid and positive environment for yourself that's going to allow you to start really getting generating more and more like better habits across the way. Now, there's obviously you want to be, when you're looking for these type of people, you want to be sort of picky as you go, but you want to sort of like follow in the footsteps. And I think ClickFunnels also, they talk about it as well, and they call it like the Dream 100. So you can always think about it that way, where you can pick 100 people that that are sort of like in the area where you want to be in 5 to 10 years, and you can take that and then sort of mold yourself into that sort of field. Now, one of the biggest things for me that I had to break even was like the broke mindset. Now, the broke mindset it's a pain in the ass. When you're starting to look for these opportunities, you're still in that 9 to 5 sort of mindset. You don't have a lot of cash that you can spend, but at the same time, you don't really want to make the investment to make the change in yourself. And because you're still pinching your pennies. Now, I completely understand why people do that. I understand. I've been there. I've been there. So one ways you can go about it is, there's cool little courses out there, to be able to develop skill sets, develop new ways of thinking, and being able to break those habits and start and invest the time in yourself and learn new skills, and being able to nurture those skills into something that's really going to seriously take you to the next level. And one of the biggest things as well, when you're in that sort of in that broke mindset, or you're in that sort of realm, is that you sort of attract if you're in a negative space, you sort of attract. The universe has its very known ways of being able to um, bring that back to you as well. So there's ways that you can go about it. There's thinking about the people who you are seeking advice from. So the one thing that you don't want to do is that you don't want to talk to people. So think about where they're at in their life and see, and if they're old, 5 to 10 years older than you, and that's not where you want to be, then obviously they're not the people that you go to for advice, because they're the ones that you want to avoid at all costs. Like, that's the last thing that I would want to basically ask someone that, if these people only, if like I want to have a goal of 6 figures within the next 2 to 5 years, right? So I'm in a 6-figure business on my own. I wouldn't be asking questions of someone that's still making $30,000 a year in a clerical desk job where they're miserable, and generally when you sort of ask people for advice, you're going to get that mentality. and then it's going to rub off on you, and then it just gets nowhere. So I would that they're the last people that I would ask for advice, because it's just going to get you nowhere. And you need to really think about who you like I said, who you surround yourself with, who you ask for advice. I never ask for anyone for advice if they're in a place, where they're at now, or they're 10 years older than me. Like, sure as shit, I don't want to be in that space in 10 years now. Like, obviously they may be happy to do what they're doing, they're happy where they are, but like within me, like, I've got a fire burning that makes me want to do things greater than where I am now. So this is probably more specifically targeted to those that are like newer to like building their business online, because that's really the one avenue. It's probably the biggest key takeaway in setting yourself apart from the rest. I The only time I ever asked for advice, and I love my parents, like they're switched on. Like my mum and dad, they've done really well in through some investments. They've done really well on their end, and so I asked Dad on his key strengths. If it comes to internet marketing, I wouldn't ask my dad. He's no good at that sort of thing. But if I come into like investment property, or learning about, because he's pretty known on stocks and stuff like that, that's someone that I'd go to, because if I want to build a portfolio and if he's done it successfully, that's somewhere that I want to go, right? And the same with like, a successful financial planner. If you want to build a big stock portfolio, you'd go ask someone that's done it. And you may need to pay for it, but then you build a knowledge enough to do it, so you can start having your domino effect in building your stock portfolio or even your house portfolio, right? So there's sort of like things that, if you're looking to build like a rental portfolio, or a house portfolio, you'd go to someone that's successfully done it and probably has a portfolio that's 8 figures or more. Like somewhere like they've got over $10 million in assets at least. They've done some deals. They've obviously had some failure in deals, because you obviously want to learn from their failures, because that'll help you avoid where they fucked up as well. So you don't repeat the same mistakes. So in the IM space, I'm learning right now. I'm learning a whole world of stuff, like building, creating offers. Like I've invested a pretty penny in, Jacob Carris's Inner Circle, because that guy knows how to create a really cool, attractive offer, and he knows how to get it through either one organically or even paid. So I've invested in that so I can learn how to create an offer that's irresistible to the market that I'm going to be providing it to. Now, in terms of funnels are unique mindset, and I'm trying to build a unique funnel for me. So I've invested in another course over here, which is like, obviously surrounding with people that they've done well over 8 figures and at least in funnels. Like I invested in a two X club thing, where it's coached by people that have achieved that milestone in 7 to 8 figure funnels, right? So that's so you can take yourself to the next level, because you're learning from the failures that they've had, you're learning from the successes they had, and that's where you can really take yourself. So it's obviously, you're trying to give yourself a winning formula in being able to, cultivate yourself in an ecosystem that's going to work for you, so you can be happy surrounding yourself with people where you're trying to learn. If your parents aren't in the space, obviously a lot of people go to their parents for advice. Don't go to your parents for advice where they're not, adequately got experience in. So it might hit a nerve in some areas, but don't go to family or friends and ask for advice on something that they've got no fucking idea about, because that's the last avenue where you want to go. Like sometimes, like every now and then, I'll probably still do it, and I take little gems or something like that, and maybe you can apply some like indirect knowledge to something like that. But I just don't ask those questions of people that have no idea what they're doing in a realm, right? So So right now, a good way of doing that, so a couple of little tips on how you can build those, like, just look for people that are successful. If it's list building, there's a whole bunch of different people that know how to build email lists. There's a whole bunch of people that know how to make funnels. So you probably want to go to like somewhere like ClickFunnels, or you can go to people like Kajabi, or where they've got a whole ecosystem of like funnel builders and stuff like that. Be careful on who you surround yourself with. Look for people that are proven, that are actually proven in the field that you're trying to excel in. Like, so for me, I suck at organic, like Facebook organic stuff. So don't come to me for questions like that. I would probably talk to someone like Jacob Karras, or there's a whole bunch of like people that create like a movement for their business. So a movement for their business. And then, I think there's someone like Zeke Ahmed, he's known as a guy that could help people create like, movements for their business online in a business sense through Facebook groups or whatever. Right. So he's a good example of that. I've only met him once or twice, but he's a good example of it. Like, even you look at like someone like Russell Brunson, he's a freaking master at creating like his own ecosystem for his business, which is ClickFunnels. Or, there's a whole different people. There's a whole range of other people, like Jacob Karras has created this massive ecosystem for people that are doing high ticket through organic marketing. And, he's done a really awesome job in basically keeping like a very highly engaged Facebook group where people come in for free. Obviously they give a few details to get in there, but he manages to do a really good job of that. For me, I do list building. I'm good at it. I know how to manage a large email list. I know how to manage it through high volumes. If someone looking to do email lists, you could talk to me about doing that. If you're in the IM space and you're trying to sell products, or make some commissions, or build a like an ever-evolving cycle of like, leads, continuous flow of leads, and being able to continuously sell products on a consistent basis without feeling the up, down, up, down, up, down, because I hate up, downs, up, downs, downs. I like consistency each day in selling products, right? So now that I'm now at a consistent pace where I'm earn a minimum of 2K a day. And usually there's probably usually around about, decent profit in there. So it's about, where you want to be, who you want to involve yourself around with. You ask the right questions, ask the questions that you want answered to the right people. And I bet you $10 you'll start seeing a lot more success coming through in areas. You'll start getting some solid advice from the right people and not the wrong people, and you'll get led on a better, clearer path. And it's really, like I said, it's who you surround yourself and who you ask questions for. And then at the end of the day, and when you start learning, you'll end up becoming the person answering those questions. And then you start being able to, people give advice, or, you can get on a call. Like, I charge at $500 for an hour. If you want to get on a call with me, I'll charge $500 an hour, and that's dedicated to you and you alone, in terms of obviously what I specialize in. And then you can, like, when you start to develop that experience, you can start doing that. Like, some people start out at $197, well, $200 for the hour, and then go up. And then I did that. Now I do $500, and I'm probably going to raise it up to $1,000 sooner or later. So it's just like little things like that you guys can take away. Hopefully, not too much of a rant. I probably should have like a whiteboard and put dot points and shit on there, but I'm not quite at that advanced level yet in terms of doing videos. But I'm learning. So anyway, I'm trying to learn more in terms of doing more video content, and it seems to be working on YouTube a little bit more now too. So I'm starting to take a look at who's doing it successfully, and I'm sort of doing it in my own way. So I sort of separate myself apart from the rest without having to, have like duplicate material on YouTube, because I'm trying to do it in my own way, no BS type arena as well. Like, I don't like giving bullshit to people. I don't like telling people fibs. I want to be straightforward with them so they know what to expect when it comes to doing what we do and what I do and how I can teach them. So anyway, guys, that's about it for that one. It was just a quick one. And yeah, guys, so obviously if you're still watching, if you can just click subscribe on YouTube, or do a hashtag live or hashtag replay here if you're watching the replay, or if you have watched it, I should say past tense. But yeah, so guys, thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you later, and I'll have this up on my YouTube, but very shortly. But guys, thanks very much. I hope you got something out of it, and take care. Cheers, guys.